Hello and welcome back to the Level Up English podcast. Great to have you here. It feels like quite a while since I've sat down and spoke with you. And I think that's because it has been, because a lot of the podcasts you've been listening to over the past few weeks have been, or were, pre-recorded ones. And that's because I made a very big change in my life and I knew that I was going to be very busy, so I decided to put some work in advance so I wouldn't be too stressed and busy, and I didn't want to have to miss an episode or anything like that. So hopefully from now on I can start recording again from my new location. So I'm going to be telling you more about that in a few minutes because the topic today is big changes. So in this episode we're going to be talking about making big life changes. We're going to be talking about change in general and whether it's a good thing or a bad thing and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to be talking about my personal situation with this topic of change. Then we're going to go on to kind of a more general sense of the word change, look at some expressions and idioms that you can use in your daily English practice as well. So hopefully you think this is an interesting topic. It's something that is relevant to everyone. Change is a big part of life. I think it was the Buddha. I might need to check this, but it seems like a Buddhist saying, and it's something like, the only thing that remains the same in life is change. In other words, maybe harder words, change is the only constant in life. Which is kind of a funny saying because change isn't constant. It's by its nature it changes, but change is the only thing that stays the same, which in itself doesn't stay the same. A little bit confusing, but I hope that makes sense. I do want to say, I might have said this on a previous episode, but now we have a very exciting update in Level Up English as well. So my goal for the future is to expand Level Up English, and my future goal is to try to give lessons on most days of the week. And I want to be able to fit in different time zones as well. And it's not possible to do this just by myself. I cannot do this alone. So it will take some time to kind of grow to get to that point. But, we have a lot of listeners now, and I know some of you are interested in joining in classes. And I've been doing group classes on Fridays at Level Up English for a couple years now, I think. And it's been really fun. But I do get a lot of people messaging me, like wanting, an evening class, a different time, because maybe in their time zone it's too late or too early. Or maybe Friday is not a good day because they're working, so they want a Saturday or a different day or something like that. And I'm only one person, and I don't have enough time to do all of this, but I am slowly expanding these classes. So one thing I've added on Level Up English recently is another membership option, another membership plan. So now we have, currently, at the time of recording, it may change in the future, but we currently have a basic membership option and a premium membership option. Of course, premium's a little bit more expensive, but you do get more in return. So I'll explain premium first. Premium includes everything. If you become a premium member, you get access to podcast transcripts, all of the courses, the IELTS course, grammar, writing course, everything like that. Private podcast as well. And you also can join as many group classes as you want. Currently, we have 2 group classes every week. This has started August 2023. So there'll be one class on Friday, which will normally be taught by me. One class on Saturday, taught by our new teacher, Charlotte, who's also from the UK. So she has a very nice, clear accent. So if you can understand me, I think you'll understand her very well, easily as well. But Charlotte is an amazing teacher. If you haven't met her already, I hope you get the chance to, and I hope you enjoy the lessons with her just as much, or maybe even more than with my lessons. But yeah, so if you're a premium member, you will be able to join as many Friday classes as you like and Saturday classes. You could join both of them every week, or you could join just one of them. It's really up to you. You pay that membership every month, and you can join as many classes as is available, basically. If you become a basic member, you get access to all of the content except the group classes. So I know a lot of people are interested in podcast transcripts and joining in with the community, but they don't want to try the group classes, and that's fine. If that is the case, I have a basic option which keeps the price lower. With group classes, the price has to be higher, of course, to compensate the teachers. But the basic option allows people to join and not worry about those group classes. If you want to find out more information, then just go to levelupenglish.school and click on the members button at the top of the page. There's also a link in your podcast app that will take you there. You can read more about it, learn more about it, and if you have any questions, just let me know. But I'd love to welcome you there. I'm really excited for this new chapter of the website, and I hope you support me in growing this, global community, and hopefully we'll get to the point where we can offer lessons that suit everyone. I want to get to that point eventually. It's very exciting stuff going on. Hope you are with me on this journey. But yeah, as far as the podcast goes, nothing is changing on the podcast. I always put a lot of time into this free content. To those of you who cannot or do not want to do anything more, that's totally fine. I'm happy to make this free public content as well. So let's get into it, I guess. Let's get right into it. So the big news I have that some of you may already know is I have moved, I think it's about 6,000 miles, something like that. I've moved to Thailand, Bangkok, Thailand. Very big change for me, very exciting change. And yeah, I think it's really nice. It was getting a bit boring in the UK. I had spent too long in the UK, and I've always wanted to live in another country. And this opportunity came up to move here, and I took it. Who could say no, right? So I've only been here for about a week so far, so it's still very early. In fact, I still don't even have Wi-Fi at the moment, no internet. So that makes things very difficult to work and things like that. But we're slowly getting used to it, slowly setting things up, and I'm hoping I can make the background behind me a bit nicer too, so it's not just this bedroom. It might sound a bit echoey today. I have some things to help the echo, hopefully coming tomorrow, so this might be the last episode. You might notice any echo, fingers crossed. That means, hopefully, if you cross your fingers, that means you're hoping for something. But yeah, I'm very excited. There's so many opportunities here for me. I think there's so much to explore, new food to try, new people to meet. From what I've seen, it's quite a, somewhat of a multicultural city as well. So I'm kind of hoping that I can meet new people. Maybe I can do some language exchange. I can, maybe if you're listening now, maybe you happen to live in Bangkok and you speak Chinese or Japanese. We can do some language exchange. I'm hoping to meet some people and practice languages as well. I'm still learning my Chinese and my Japanese. When it comes to Thai language, though, I know you might be wondering, are you going to start learning Thai now? And maybe a little bit. That's the answer. So I've already learnt the alphabet, so I can kind of read the Thai alphabet. It takes me a long time to read it. I have to kind of think about it very carefully. But I kind of know the letters, but reading is still something I need to improve. But I always think it's nice to learn the alphabet of a country because it makes some things seem a bit less alien to you. You can kind of understand how something is said, even if you don't know what it means. I started learning some words, some phrases, very simple stuff. Not much at the moment. But it's an interesting one. I mean, I recorded a podcast episode a long time ago, a couple years ago, about whether you can learn 2 languages at the same time. In that episode, I spoke a little bit about the pros and cons of doing that. And in short, you can definitely learn 2 languages at the same time. But if you take on a third language, the second language will suffer. You will not make progress as quickly as you like. And at the moment, I'm making pretty good progress with my Chinese. I'm quite proud of the progress I'm making there. I'm learning quite quickly at the moment, I think. And I'm a bit worried that if I start putting my focus towards the Thai language, then it will affect my other languages, you know? It's a really difficult situation though, because I know living in a country, knowing that language is going to make such a big difference in connecting with people and enjoying your time there. So I think it's a difficult decision to make. But at the moment, my plan is to continue studying Chinese as my main language right now. Japanese, I've got to a fairly good level, so I can just keep that going in the background. And Thai, I will learn a little bit every day, but I'm not planning to get super good at Thai. I'm not planning to have really good conversations. But at the moment I can say hello, thank you, how are you, I'm fine, excuse me. I can say these words, but I want to get a little bit beyond that. Maybe have a little bit more. But yeah, and maybe I want to use the phrase, like, I'm sorry, my Thai isn't very good. Can you speak English? I want to kind of use those phrases. I think it's just, if nothing else, it's polite to know how to say these things. I think it's not great to come to a new country to live and not make any attempt to learn the language. So that's my opinion right now, but we'll see if it changes in the future. Another thing I'm really excited about here is the possibility of having a new home base. A home base is, obviously it's a home, but where you base yourself is where you kind of, I guess that term home base is used by travelers a lot, where they have a home base, one place where they stay, but they can branch out to other places. This is a good phrasal verb here, to branch out. If you think of a tree has branches and they go out, of course. So just like the branches of a tree go out in different directions, you can branch out in the world. It has a few different ways you can use it, but let's use it physically today in this example. So if I'm branching out from London, I might do some travel to France, to Germany, maybe even to Norway, right? These are places that are close by to the UK. So I'm branching out, I'm exploring new places. If you want to go to Australia or Japan or Korea, from England, it's very far away, it's very expensive, it's not so easy to get to these places. And that's one thing I'm really excited about here. I'm excited to explore the country of Thailand a lot more and the culture, but I'm also excited to have this new home base and branch out and explore new places around this area. Obviously, we've got close by countries like Cambodia, Vietnam, these places. But yeah, Australia, New Zealand, maybe, who knows? So I don't know what's going to happen, but I am very excited about the possibility of visiting these places. So we'll see if I can do that. I might even start making some videos on YouTube again, more kind of travel style videos, once I have settled in a bit more here. Remember, settle in means to feel more comfortable in a place. So I need to settle in first. And I think the biggest thing you can do to settle in is to get Wi-Fi. It's very hard to feel comfortable in a place if you don't have good internet access, in my opinion. And the one final thing I'll say on this section of the episode is something that's really helped me so far in this first week. And this is kind of having the attitude of problem solving. I'll explain a bit more about what I mean here. So I guess it's almost a bit like a video game where you're playing a game and the purpose of the game is to solve problem after problem. If a game has no problems, it's not fun to play. It's just too easy. It's boring. But the purpose of like a fun game is having fun problems to solve, and you get a little bit better every time. And I've kind of been, I don't know if enjoying is the right word, but with this attitude, it's really helped me with some of the difficult problems coming here. There were many, many things that weren't organized for us when we first came here, and many things we had to deal with. Obviously, first of all, there were visa problems and things like that. And then coming here, there was, transporting our big suitcases on the busy streets. That was really annoying. And all this kind of stuff related to where we're living now and that kind of stuff. There's problem after problem after problem. But I kind of try to develop this attitude of every problem we tackle, we get one step closer to having a more comfortable life. You could kind of see it as finishing the game, I suppose. You get one step closer to finishing that game. And also, I think it's about self-improvement as well. Every problem that you face, that means every problem that you do, you tick off your list, you get a little bit better. You learn something. You become more resilient. So I love that idea of improving with problem solving. And that's really helped me with my mental health through this stressful time, I think, as well. And that word I mentioned just now is a good one, resilient. Resilient. That is the adjective. The noun is resilience, with a CE on the end. And if you're resilient, you're able to withstand difficult times. If you think of like a resilient building on the coast, the ocean, the waves are crashing up against the building, but it's not going to be destroyed. That's just like you. If you're a resilient person, no matter what problems you have in your life, you can stay strong and positive because you have resilience. Really important thing to develop in yourself. And I think it's nice in language learning too, right? I always like to kind of link everything to language learning, as you know. And when it comes to learning a language, we have to be resilient. There will be ups and downs. There'll be good times and bad times. And I think it's really important to have this attitude of every problem you face, you get a little bit stronger. Even if you have a really bad day with your English, you will learn from that. You'll get better. You'll become wiser as well. So having that attitude, I think, is really beneficial. Okay, so now talking more generally about the topic of change. I know a lot of you will have read the book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. I hear a lot of my students have read this book, and I kind of feel like if you were interested in this podcast, then you might be the kind of person who would like that book as well. So that book again is Atomic Habits. And the author James Clear talks about something that's really, really impactful in that book, which is making very small changes every day. So in order to improve your life, in order to achieve a goal, I think it's not about making a huge change in your life, whatever that is. It's about making small changes every day. And I don't know if he might have mentioned this in the book, but the image that I have in my head, the analogy I have, is a plane, say going from New York to London. It has its path, its planned path it's going to take to get there. If the plane changes the direction from New York by just 1 degree, a little bit the wrong way, after it goes thousands of kilometers over to London, by the time it gets to where it should be, it's going to be way off schedule. It's going to be way off course. It's going to be in completely the wrong place, because that small change at the beginning of the journey leads to a large change at the end of the journey. In this case, it's a bad one, right? Because the plane doesn't go where it wants to go. So this can work in a bad way. If every day you're making a small change in your life, but it's a bad change, it could get really bad in a few years. And we see this all the time, right? We see this with people who start drinking some alcohol, a little bit of alcohol every day. It's not a big deal. A little bit turns into a lot of alcohol. That might turn into other things like drugs and things like that. So bad changes can compound. Means get bigger, get more. But we can use it in a positive way to make good changes in our lives. If you want to become someone who's healthy and fit and strong, rather than going to the gym 2 hours every day, maybe you just do 2 push-ups today. Do 2 push-ups. And then tomorrow you do a little bit more. And it's like the small changes you can make grow bigger and bigger over time. And I think it's the same with language learning as well. If you want to become a good language learner, don't make this huge study routine that's going to be impossible to stick to. Just try to make it simple. Do something small that you can do today to help your English journey. If you are not doing anything to study English, apart from listening to this podcast, of course, maybe you could do something really small. Just tidy your desk. Make your desk clear and ready to study. That could be your task for today. And then the next time, maybe tomorrow, you can open your book and you can, write 1 sentence in English. Make it really small. You're kind of developing the habit of studying. That's the main idea here. I'm not going to talk any more about that, but if you want to hear more, I really recommend that book. It's a really good one. Now, here's a good expression that we could use related to change. And this is to turn over a new leaf. Turn over a new leaf. I believe this comes from books. Maybe like leaf is like paper. Turn over a new page. Something like that. I may be wrong about that. But another way of saying this, turn over a new leaf, is to start a new chapter in your life. So just like you start a new chapter in a book, you can also start a new chapter in your life. So what this means is you're kind of putting the past behind you and you're making a positive change in your life. So for example, maybe you know someone who used to smoke a lot of tobacco, lots of cigarettes. It's not a healthy thing to do. They were really addicted to smoking and it was really affecting their health. One day they said, okay, that's it. I've had enough of this. It's so expensive. It's not good for my lungs. I'm going to turn over a new leaf and I'm going to stop smoking. Okay, so they are making a positive change in their life. They're turning onto a new page in the book of their life and they're going to do something good for their future. You turn over a new leaf. Really good expression about change, really, really common as well. It's not exactly what I've done because I don't think I was doing anything like negative before. That's not the reason I moved here. But I could say I started a new chapter. That's a bit more neutral. It doesn't mean the last chapter was bad. It just means I changed to a very different way of living now. And I imagine there are a lot of people here in Thailand. I do see a lot of Western-looking men, especially men. Maybe a lot of them, they could use this phrase. Maybe in England or wherever they lived before, maybe they lost their job. They were living in a really bad way and they thought, I've got nothing else to lose. I'm going to move to Thailand. I'm going to turn over a new leaf and I'm going to become a good person. I don't know what that means, but I know some people even come here to become a monk, a Buddhist monk as well. So maybe that could be how they turn over a new leaf. So maybe you could let me know in the comments if there's any ways in which you have turned over a new leaf. What positive changes have you made before in your life that really, really helped you improve as a person? Here's an expression now that I can use, and this is to take shape. To take shape. Literally, this, I guess you could imagine like a sculpture or someone making something out of clay. At the beginning, it's just like a ball of clay. But as you're working it, as you're designing your art, it's taking shape. It's turning into the shape that you want it to be, right? It's taking shape. So this phrase means a plan or project that you have is becoming clearer, more clear, basically. So if you're planning a holiday, There may be lots to do. You have to plan the flights and all this kind of stuff and the accommodation. If you keep working on it, that plan will be taking shape. We can also use it for a physical place, like my apartment, my flat where I'm living now, is taking shape. That means it's starting to look closer to how I imagined it should look, how I think it should look. So when we first came here, it was quite empty. There wasn't much here. Yesterday we went to IKEA, so now we've got a few things. We got some plants, which really helps it look nicer. We've ordered some things as well. We have, what else do we have? Yeah, we just have general stuff you need, like pots and pans for the kitchen, microwave, things like that to make the house a little bit nicer. So I can say it's taking shape, it's looking nicer. This office isn't really taking shape. I haven't really done anything in here yet. This is the spare room. I'm planning to do something with the background here behind me. And once I do that, it will be taking shape and hopefully looking a little bit nicer. So maybe you could let me know in the comments if you have any plans or anything that you're working on, any projects right now, and maybe they're taking shape. Maybe they are getting closer to the final result. Okay, I'll leave you with those two expressions to end on today. I want to end, as I like to do, with a few podcast reviews. We're going to go all around the world today for these reviews. And I've got a really good quote from someone you may have heard before to end as well. I got one 3-star review. I don't know. They seem to be quite positive. I don't know if that was on purpose or an accident. 3 out of 5 is not bad, but I would prefer a 5-star review. But anyway, thank you to Rahaf for that. Regarding episode 94, which I don't even remember right now, but they said, instead of fake it until you make it, I believe in faith it till you make it more. Thank you for your unlimited giving. So what does that mean? Faith until you make it. I guess that means believe until you make it, right? You have to believe in something until you can achieve your goal, I suppose. But yeah, thank you, Rahaf, anyway. Another one here from Anton in Belarus, who says, Dear Michael, the greatest thing is that you've got your own style, recognizable and authentic. Thanks for great materials, diversity and simplicity providing the information. Keep on doing a great job. You are a great tutor. Thank you very much, Anton. That's very kind of you to say. I'm glad you think I have my own style. I have one from Germany who I can try to read. I don't know any German, but I could try to read what they said. They said, Wer das liest, kann lesen. Something lesson? I don't know what that means, to be honest. But how was my German there? This is a cool review, though. This one says, I love your podcast, and it really helps me improve my English. I am a 13-year-old boy from Germany. I really like the English language. I plan on moving to London when I'm older, so it's important to level up my English. That is amazing to hear. I mean, your written English is already fantastic, and starting from 13, I'm sure you will be amazing. So by the time you're 20, you're going to be so good. You're going to be unstoppable. So thank you for listening, and keep up the hard work. One more quick one here from Saudi Arabia. This person says, Best teacher ever. Thank you for this podcast. I really love it. You give me excellent tips. Thank you to you. Thank you to everyone. Appreciate the reviews. These are on Apple Podcasts, but anywhere you leave a review, Spotify, whatever, it's really, really appreciated. Thank you. It's a nice present for me if you can do that. The quote today, I want to share something that I'm stealing from another podcast I listened to. In fact, I was on his podcast. This is the Zero to Travel podcast. If you like travel, highly recommend it. Zero to Travel. If you want to hear my episode, just search for my name, Michael Lavers. And one thing that the host, Jason, always says in that podcast is, if not now, then when? I'm quoting him today because I love this phrase. I love this quote. It's really inspiring. Maybe there's something that you want to do in your life. You want to make a change in your life. Maybe you also want to move abroad to another country, but you think, it's too difficult, maybe another day. But then ask yourself that question. If not now, then when? And maybe you might have to say, well, if I don't do this now, maybe I'll never do it. Could you live with yourself if you never do it? So if you really want to do something like make a big change in your life, maybe now is the time to do it. Think about that carefully and don't waste your time. But anyway, thank you for listening today. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye for now. You have been listening to the Level Up English podcast. If you would like to leave a question to be answered on a future episode, then please go to levelupenglish.school/podcast. That's levelupenglish.school/podcast. And I'll answer your question on a future episode. Thanks for listening.